Offensive line. Skylar, I'm just gonna be real upfront with you about it, and with all of our listeners here. I've got a lot of questions.
Why, dude? Is it because they're young? Is it because they're inexperienced? Is it all the above? Is it because of lack of depth? Because let me tell you, that's one thing that I think alarms me when just doing a quick look at the roster at the offensive line position.
Yeah, I think it's all the above, especially
Fair enough.
especially the lack of stability at positions. We've been able to count on um, guys like Cooper Mays, um, being the focal point of that offensive line over the last several years. Cooper Mays is gone now.
Right.
You're not going to have him at center to man that offensive line anymore. You're not going to have a guy like Javonte Spraggins at the right guard position to fill it. You're not going to have a guy like Dane Davis on the offensive line that, even though he wasn't the best guy on the offensive line game in and game out, he was a consistent guy that you could plug and play anywhere, and you felt confident with that. You've got some unknown there. You've got some young guys. You've also got some experienced guys that are transfers but haven't been in this offense. And then you've got just a couple of guys that have been here as well. So who do you want to talk about first on the offensive line?
I think on the offensive line, I kind of want to talk about the battle at the center position. Um,
And this is something that we didn't know if it was going to be a battle because nobody was picked up out of the transfer portal at a strictly center position.
it kind of makes it kind of worries me a little bit. I was kind of hoping that William Satterwhite would just take the reins, right? I mean, I think that's what we were hoping. But maybe it's a good thing that there is kind of a little bit of battle there. Maybe they're pushing each other. Of course they are. Don't get me wrong, but like, I don't know. Who is the position or who is in the running? I think it's a 3-way race.
I think it's a three-way race. You mentioned William Satterwhite. That's the guy that we all thought was going to be the center coming into this season because there was no guys that were picked up out of the transfer portal that
Right.
was, just a strictly center coming in. So it's going to be between him. It's going to be, I believe, Wendell Moe Jr. from Arizona. I think I've heard his name thrown around, but the main name that I have heard thrown around um, that's battling for the center position is Sam Pendleton, the
Yeah.
transfer from Notre Dame.
Yeah, I'm it's looking like Wendell Moe is actually going to be the left guard. Left tackle is going to be Lance Hurd, of course. Wendell Moe looking to be the left guard, but at the center, yeah, it could be Pendleton. It could also be William Satterwhite we mentioned. And there, I mean, Vyson Lang, he's gone. He was your backup last year. Um, I don't know. Maybe it's just a 2-dog race then there. And then we kind of have another question mark at right guard. Right tackle, I think
Right tackle has got to be David Sanders,
I
is it not?
think I
With with
think
with Larry Johnson
you don't
transferring out in the spring portal, is it not? I mean, how is it not going to be David Sanders? And if
and
if
that's
it is not David Sanders,
Bennett Warren.
maybe. But what I was getting at, if it's not David Sanders, is there a red flag that he is not the starting right tackle?
I think so. I think with the hype that he had coming out of recruitment and the hype around him in the spring. Now obviously they're on the way back. Media days is coming up next week. Um if David Sanders doesn't take over that right tackle position, it's alarming only for the sense of he came in to be that guy. And you need him to be ready for the depth sake of it. Logan in Facebook, we're not ignoring you, big dog. John Campbell Jr. is out the door, big dog. He is graduated. He is gone. Sam Pendleton is a dog, and
And I agree with that.
yeah,
I agree that Sam Pendleton is a dog, and he's a guy that can play multiple positions. It just concerns me the fact that we were so confident that William White, this is the guy. In the program, they were saying, yeah, we're confident in Satterwhite to be the center after Cooper Mays is gone. And then now we're talking about a position battle at center. What does that say for Satterwhite Or let's look on the other side of it. What does that say for Pendleton? Does that mean that he's maybe a better center than he is a offensive guard because he's an interior offensive lineman? Does All right, let's look at it the other way. Is this position battle a good thing? Does this mean that Sam Pendleton is a good enough center that he's battling for that position with Satterwhite?
Yeah, it could be. Rhonda actually pulls up. I mean, a great point. She would be worried if we lose David Sanders if he doesn't win the starting job. And um, the way the contracts are, I don't know how much easier it's going to be for these guys to just up and leave. But as of right now, they can. And yeah, like even if David Sanders understands that he's not putting in the work to become the starter, or maybe just isn't ready yet, like guys, at the end of the day, the kid's 18. Yeah, like we have seen Josh Heupel in the past not want to play those younger players. I will say this: last year, I felt like we did a lot better doing that. From the
I
wide
agree.
receiver position, we see Mike Matthews a lot. Now, obviously, we wanted to see him more, but I think you still had to credit obviously Brew, Dante, Squirrel. Even though Squirrel didn't have his best year, I mean, the kid gave you the 2 years before that all he could for Tennessee. So you had to respect that in his third year. But yeah, Mike Matthews coming in. You have Boo Carter. I know freshman linebackers been playing a key role for Heupel. Arion Carter got a lot of playing time 2 years ago. So I'm seeing our coaching staffs play freshmen more often. So I think I do have the hope that David Sanders, as long as he's talented enough, as long as he's picking up on the offensive enough, that he should be able to win that. But as far as the center position, I love that it's a battle. I think it's a good thing. It's going to build depth overall, and depth is something that we're going to need in this position room. Because I'm telling you right now, I think I have a comfortable one deep at every position. When you start talking about going too deep, I get really nervous. I don't really know. I don't really know where to plug and play these guys. Whereas on the defensive line that we talked about last week, I could go 3 deep, just like we did last year, and feel just fine with it. And so you're seeing it a little bit in this year's recruiting class too, which, by the way, we're cooking. If you haven't noticed the last week or so, we've been picking up quite a bit of recruits. But once again, we are super defensive heavy. And I love that. I think the standard at Tennessee is to be elite on defense. I'm quoting Josh Heupel there. But I am getting a little bit worried about our lack of recruits and recruitment on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah. So here's what I will also say. As far as the depth goes, what concerns me about the depth is we don't have a lot of proven depth. We don't have a lot of guys that have taken meaningful snaps. What I do like is that we have a lot of young talent
Oh, yeah.
that is there. I mean, the talent is definitely there. It's just the lack of experience, which leads into that, as Skylar mentioned, um the unknown and the concern for that lack of depth. I mean, I'm just going to name a couple of guys that are either redshirt freshmen or true freshmen that I've got a lot of confidence in to step in at some point and make a name for themselves. Maybe not this year, but down the road. You've got guys like Jermias Hurd, a redshirt freshman, that I feel like could step in and could be a big name. And Tony Aguimoro, that was a big recruit from this past season cycle that I've got a lot of confidence in down the road as well. You've got Bennett Warren, a redshirt freshman that I do think could step in and play some snaps this year. You got redshirt junior Gus Hill that I feel like is going to have to step in and take some of those reps as they come because he is one of the more experienced guys, at least as a roster standpoint goes. You've got Max Anderson, redshirt freshman, Jesse Perry, redshirt freshman. You've got Nick Moore, a very talented
Yeah.
true freshman that I'm excited about for the coming years. You also got Gage Ginther, redshirt freshman offensive lineman. And then you've got Shamarad Umarov, that is a redshirt sophomore that came from Denmark that I feel like is going to be another one of those guys, kind of like we were talking about last week with Emmanuel Okoye, that I feel like he's got the athletic ability, but is his football knowledge there yet? Are the skills quite there yet? So that's gonna be something to watch for. So a lot of young talent there, but unproven talent, which leads to those red flags that we're talking about for this coming year with that depth.
Yeah, and I think if we were building out right now, let me catch up on these comments real quick. Yes, Rhonda, I believe it would be a rippling effect, for sure. And I think you've seen that in the past in this coaching staff as well. Logan does say that David Sanders showed a lot of potential in the orange and white game, and T-Lander, I think I agree with this, is going off this year. He's all over the field. And one thing that I want to back that comment up even further about T-Lander is Coach William Inge. Hearing great things about what he's doing in just his second year here. But what he's doing in that room, we just landed, by the way, guys, a little bit of recruiting update. We just picked up the second linebacker of our class that is the top 5 at the position. We have 2 linebackers signed right now in our class. 2 of the top 5 linebackers in the class of 2026. William Inge is putting together a great recruiting class just in his second year again, guys. And then what he's also doing with the guys that he's already had, like he's got. Look, I'm expecting big years out of Arion Carter, T-Lander, you name it. It's going to be huge, and he's building depth there. And what I love about starting with Syracuse is I think that is a game. I think that we are going to win by multiple touchdowns. I think it's going to be a second half where we can actually see some of these guys. Now, obviously, is it week 2 that we play? No. We don't play Georgia week 2. We play
We
in week
played
3.
Georgia in week.
So we'll at least get to figure out
Georgia
where these
week 3,
guys.
yeah.
We at least get to figure out where the pecking order is of this offensive line here in a little bit. Gus Seal didn't go to Fayetteville. He was pretty decent.
He
Won a
did.
state
He
chip.
did.
He sure did. Let's see. Rhonda comes in. We appreciate you guys tuning in, by the way, more than y'all know. If we can hold on and compete this year, watch out for the next couple of years. Could be explosive in a good way for us. Absolutely. But look, if I'm putting together the offensive line right now, I think I have a 2 deep. I think I have a 2 deep for the most part. And here's what it looks like. I've got starting left tackle Lance Hurd. He's the junior, obviously, the transfer from LSU. I've got
I agree with you.
I've got starting left guard. I've got Wendell Moe, the transfer from was it Arizona?
Yes.
All right. And
I
then
agree with you.
I've got center. I'm going to chalk it up to William Satterwhite. I'm going to say that he beats out Sam Pendleton for the center. But I think that's just going to put Sam Pendleton at right guard.
I agree.
So
yes.
I think that's what's going to happen. William Satterwhite's been there. I'm just going to go ahead and give him the lean. And until he gives a reason to not be there, I think he deserves it. So Sam Pendleton will be the right guard. And then, of course, right tackle will be David Sanders. That's who I have as the starting, as of right now, guys. We haven't even seen fall camp, so I'm kind of just shooting off the cuff here. But then the 2 deep to that would be, I think I would have Bennett Warren and I think Jeremiah's Hurd as your 2 deeps on the tackles. You've got Sham Umaroff, Gage Gint as your 2 deep on the guards. Sam Pendleton, if healthy, would be your backup center for sure. But then don't count out Brian Grant and Jesse Perry as depth pieces as well. So, I mean, I guess when you look at it, we are 2 deep at the offensive line position, but I don't know if you're going to win games. I don't know if you're going to push the defensive line back in the SEC with some of the guys that we have in the 2 deep.
I don't know if you're confident in that 2 deep is what we're getting at.
Yeah, the lack of playing time, the lack of experience, I'm not sure. So
yeah, but let me throw a different scenario because I completely agree with you as far as especially the starting offensive line. I think that's what we're going to see in week 1 whenever we play against Syracuse. But let me throw a wrench into that a little bit.
Okay.
Let's just say that William Satterwhite is not the starting center.
Yeah.
You got Sam Pendleton starting Sam Pendleton starting at center. Who is your right guard?
It's either Sham or Jesse Perry, Sham Umaroff. As of right now, maybe, I don't know. Who do you have in mind?
So here's what I'm thinking as far as
Bennett Warren.
I was gonna say I think that at that point you would move Wendell Moe over to the right side. 'Cause I don't think you want to have a true freshman in David Sanders and then a redshirt freshman in a Bennett Warren, a Jeremiah Hurd, or somebody like that, or even a Shamrat Umarov who has little to no experience in a game type situation. I don't know if you want two of those on the same side, which is why I think that you would move Wendell Moe over to the right side there, and then you plug one of those other guys into the left offensive guard position.
Okay. Well, I do know that Perry's been showing out. So if Williams Satterwhite doesn't win the center position, I don't think it's the same way as if like if he won it. You know how I would just say Sam Pendleton would just kick out to right guard.
Yeah.
If Williams Satterwhite doesn't win the center position, I don't think you see Williams Satterwhite kick to right guard.
No, because I think this William Satterwhite is there for center.
Right.
I don't think that he is got the skill set as an offensive guard necessarily.
So Perry's been getting a lot of buzz. Sham's getting a lot of buzz. So look for fall camp. We're going to be locked into this position battle. I think more than any other position, solely because I think it's the most crucial. It doesn't matter how good Joey Aguilar is or not if he doesn't have time to throw the ball.
Yeah.
And
So I
our
know
running game is not good at all if we don't get a push on the front. So I think the offensive line is the most important group this fall.
yeah, it's definitely the most important. And I know we're just now starting to look at the position groups, but other than quarterback, would you say this group right here has the most question marks of any group on this roster?
I would say even with quarterback in play, I still think this is the most question mark
I
group.
think I agree with you.
Because I think we know what we have in Joey Aguilar. The only
I think we know what we
depth,
have.
I guess, at quarterback is what we don't know. But I think Joey Aguilar, you're going to have fireworks. You're going to have turnovers. You just got to hope the fireworks outnumber the turnovers.
But you know what? I think that
Josh
we
Heupel's
know.
proven to cut down on turnovers.
Yeah, I think that we know what we're going to get, whether it be Joey Aguilar, George McIntyre, or Jake Merklinger at quarterback. You're going
Don't
to
count out
get.
Jake.
I was going to say, I think that you're going to have a guy that is, willing to run the ball when needed. They can hit the short stuff, and none of those guys are afraid to take the deep shot. I mean,
Right.
you can see that from the game film for Merklinger and for McIntyre in high school. You could see that from the game film of seeing Joey Aguilar at Appalachian State.
This
So
is where I have the most faith in whatever quarterback we choose. Josh Heupel's proven to do a lot with less at the quarterback position.
yes, absolutely.
And the reason why I say that is you realize the least production Josh Heupel statistically in the history of his coaching career, the least amount of production he got out of the quarterback position was literally Nico,
Yeah.
the 5-star from California. So
Yeah.
I think you've seen what he did with a 3-star in Hendon Hooker, right? He found the right place, found the right vibe. Joe Milton was a 5-star, right, that went to Michigan, but was god awful. Let's just be honest. He kind of still was early on at Tennessee, and I think the kid ended up being okay. He made mistakes, but I think the offense kind of made him a little bit worse because they want them to throw the deep shot, and some quarterbacks just don't have that type of accuracy going long.
Look, and I
But
don't want to cut you off here, but I also have a take about Joe Milton. Now, I believe I've said before, but Joe Milton was a very good quarterback that
I think so.
improved quite a bit over his time at Tennessee. That would have been an absolute freak of a
Add
quarterback his senior year if he had wide receivers that could create separation. Because even Hendon Hooker, if he had the wide receivers that Joe Milton did in Joe Milton's final season at Tennessee, he wouldn't have been as good because Hendon Hooker had wide receivers that could create separation. So it made Hendon Hooker's life easier. Now, Hooker could also put the ball on a dime whenever he needed to. Milton could also do it too, to an extent. But when you're literally having to throw the ball into tight coverage every single time,
yeah.
it's going to make you look a lot worse than what you really are.
Go ahead, and the last thing I'll end on this because this is the offensive line preview, but add Joe Milton to the Jarrett Garantano underappreciated but decent to great VFLs down the road.
Absolutely.
As far as quarterbacks that are proud to be where they are, and if you don't understand what I'm saying, look, just to get on socials and look at what Jarrett Garantano is posting about the team nowadays. Like, just he's following us. He loves the University of Tennessee. He is blasting it on all of his socials. And then if you look at Joe Milton just had a workout with one of our newest signees, one of our newest commits, which I think is the coolest thing ever. And but as a player, Joe Milton gets very underappreciated for how he performed. Obviously it was frustrating during the season to go 8-4 because it felt like a massive step back. But overall, his love for the University of Tennessee, to be able to be here for 3 years, sit for 2 years of that after getting his job yanked away. But Logan comes in and says, "Do we give Pruitt his flower for finding Hendon?" As much as he hated typing that.
So, I guess to an extent you could say that, but I'm still going to give all the credit to Hendon for sticking around
You
when
got to,
Pruitt left.
and you got to credit. I think, in my opinion, you got to credit Heupel.
Yeah,
because Hendon had the exact same problem. I think this is what gives me a little bit of chills, man. Hendon had the same problem Joey Aguilar had. Electric player, but boy was he reckless with the football at Virginia Tech. And I don't know. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. I think Joey Aguilar is going to be good. But again, none of that matters without the offensive line coming together as a unit, staying healthy through fall camp and through the season. Because, man, I'm telling you, it gets a little uncomfortable when one or two guys go down on this unit, and it's going to happen. It is the offensive line. You're going to have somebody go down.
yeah.
You just
And I will say, Tennessee has been blessed over the last few years to have little to no injuries on the offensive line.
we had
But
tough
you
kids.
cannot. You also did have tough kids, but you cannot count on that every single year. You're gonna have injuries.
That's right.
Every single person, by the time you get halfway through the year, they've got some sort of injury. It's just a matter of, can I play, or is it bad enough that I can't play? So
I,
really, I'm really excited to see what we have this year at the offensive line, but I'm super nervous about it as well.
I heard that. I think that about does it for our offensive line preview. Do you got anything else in closing? It looks like we got an okay too deep. And I think we have the starting lineup. I know there's still questions out there at the center position and the right guard position, but I think literally that works itself out, literally within the two guys that are competing for it. I think William Satterwhite's going to come out in center position. Maybe even if he's just a tad bit, I would use the term worse than Pendleton. But you just slide Pendleton over, and it almost knocks two birds with one stone as the coaching staff to make sure you got your starting lineup field right there at the offensive line positions. And then you just kind of work on the depth piece. You're going to see, in my opinion, I think you're going to see people rotate on the offensive line, at least early on in the season, kind of like you do on the defensive line. It's not going to be that exact, dramatic, but maybe one quarter you'll see a guard getting some work in, and then the next quarter or the next half you'll see them kind of flip flop just to kind of get some film in, and then they can kind of evaluate at practice and film study and see who can come up, because I do think these position battles are going to go into the season.
Yep.
But
I completely agree. Now, I will say you are going to have to try to find that starting rotation pretty quick, because you get Georgia in week 3.
Yeah.
And it's arguably the toughest game on the schedule. I won't say the biggest game on the schedule, but it's arguably the toughest game on the schedule. That, if you don't have your offensive line rotation or your offensive line, set at that point, it could be a long, long game for Tennessee in that one.
100%. Rhonda chimes in and says, we aren't the only team this year that has a lot of unproven talent. No, we're not. But we're also not that team that's been bringing in top 10, top 5 recruiting classes year after year either. Heupel's been doing good, not great. Right now I think we're sitting just outside the top 10 in this year's recruiting class, but Heupel's been consistent top 15 in his recruiting classes. So we're going to just need to continue to develop and make sure we're getting the right guys in here and taking it. Yeah, I think she's right as well. Toughest will be at the Swamp. And here's one thing that I think works to our advantage. It's late in the season. Florida's got one of the toughest schedules in the nation. Are they reeling at that point? Now, obviously, they're still going to give their all because it's Tennessee coming in the Swamp. But here's where I also think it helps us. Usually when we go into the swamp at September, it's like 110 degrees. In November, hopefully it won't be that hot. I think that helps aid to our, because the humidity down there is insane. Maybe the playing conditions kind of work in our favor just a little bit, but either way, it's going to be good. Georgia, Logan says Georgia has some crazy wideouts this year, and Stockton seems to be promising. So I don't know about that one. It's up to the D-line to harass the line of scrimmage, and I think they will. I think our defensive line is going to be fine. Gunnar Stockton, I think, is going to be fine just because Kirby Smart is his head coach. So I'm not going to bet on him not being good. Look, at the end of the day, Tennessee's got to go get it. Look, the goal is 10-2. Period.
Yep.
The goal is 10-2. 10-2 gets you into the playoff. We did it last year. We've seen that the way these schedules are made, teams are going to knock each other out. Period. So 10-2 and 10-2 gets you where you do one thing, at least one thing this year that you've never done under Heupel. 2?
Yeah. You got to not lose to a team that you
supposed to
beat.
Win on the win. So beat Mississippi State.
Yeah. And then the other one, you beat one of Alabama on the road, Florida on the road, or you just beat Georgia.
Period.
Yeah.
Because you haven't done it. So, yes, you're right. So you have to do two things that Josh Heupel's never done to get that done. And I think that would be a successful year, in my opinion. 100%. I think this year the defense is going to carry the offense again, but we'll see.